In a small corner in the universe, it is called our solar group, which is a star, which is the Sun with a little bodies of a star among the billions of stars and the other stellar systems. All of them are present in the air of a large spiral galaxy called the Milky Way, which is present from 50 for the Tanin galact. They extend over an area of 10 million light-years, and the optical year is a unit for measuring distances, not a unit for measuring time. An optical year, the unit. It is the distance that the light is traveling in a year, and light as we do not know that it is walking at a speed of 1,000 kilometers in the year unit. The domestic local group is all. For more than 10 years, they missed the scholars. And the entity is completely unprecedented. Thanks. In the year 2014, a Friday of researchers and astronomers collected data on more than 8,000 galaxies around two of our galaxy, hitting the Milky Way, drawing the location of each galaxy, and headed the method that the galaxies are moving with it and followed what the movement has become on their own. They noticed during their research that in certain galaxies, close to a specific place and other galaxies, as if the collections and the Hungarian clusters in the universe are not randomly distributed, and salvation is in great need of their gathering and their cabinet with each other. And when we call a plan for the signs that the galaxies move in, whether the galaxies that are far away or that are close to them, this form is a wondrous structure of a manifestation of grabbing all the Hungarian clusters and joining them together. And they called it the High or Super Hungary cluster, and they concluded from this speech that the Super Hungary or Super Selster cluster is the large construction unit in the universe. And the universe remains for this semi-neurons that exist in the brain. For example, each cell of them is an independent entity in itself, but it is complex and connected to its funniest with other neurons, but the time this is the time of the nerve cells, and we put them in the super cleft place. The first Super Kelstra's team L. Bossi was drawing a map of mine was the Super Selster in which our galaxy is located a blow to us. Think about a little when we said that the scholars of 10 years were thinking that our galaxy and the local galaxies around them are present in the cluster of Al Ezra, and they believe that this is the greatest need in the universe? It turned out that the cluster of Al Azatsi on each other is just a very, very small lobe or branch of the supercluster, which was named the Great Banania or Laniakea Supercluster. The image that you lead this expresses the Great Laniakea cluster, and the red point that you see this is just a beating. When we come to talk about Laniakea in the beginning, you can cherish that his name is a little strange, and this is because the word Laniakea is not an English word and there is no need for the word Hawaii, meaning the wide toxicity. The language of Hawaii is the local language that the indigenous people speak to the island of Hawaii. Of course, the Europeans colonize it. As for the specifications of Laniakea, the Supercluster contains a dead 1,000 about 1,000 galaxy extension on an area of 500 million light-years, and the approximate mass with their own is estimated at about 10s7-7 solar masses. I mean, this is the pump in front of you. It is the branch that is in our galaxy, and after that, the Bafu Indus, the southern cluster, and the Hydra Centaurus Icon, which is the largest cluster in them, and the 4 countries with some of the main branches. But in addition to the 4 countries, there are around 500 sub-clusters, which are called clusters of the researchers. Laniakea cluster is on one side by 4 second captains who are considered the neighbors of the luxurious Shabli al-Fake, Hercules, and Kuma's cluster. Persis Besic's depths and the process of monitoring the 4 clusters' countries were very difficult to search in the beginning. The Hungarian groups entered some of them in a complex and very dense in the world is clear to each other, and it is not clear. And for this, they called this center the name the Great Attractor or the Great Attractive, and for this if they were in the plan that they made for Theic, you will notice that the center is in it, in which there is just very intensely intense. But in the limbs, the number of galaxies is less, and through a simple observation, they put their hands to solve the mystery. In need of an important thing, it remains regarding the topic of the Great Attraction, which is the center of the Hungarian, the space, with a general confrontation with a force for itself, some of the length of time. Even in two galaxies, close to some costume, for example, beating the Milky Way and its neighbor Andromeda in the case of attraction, by overcoming the cosmic expansion and the two galaxies, they begin to accomplish some, and this is what is happening at the present time. It is expected that the beating of the Tabana and Andromeda collided with each other during the cam a billion years. I mean, for example, you have a galaxy, and that the location of Cassiopeia is the distance between us and it is about 10 million light-years. I mean, in the quantity that we said in them 250 kilometers away from some of the 1 million kilometers of medicine, I suspended the words. Laniakea cluster has a very large size. What we know about the science of physics is that an entity of this size is supposed to control all the galaxies and bodies that are widespread in its place, and it is assumed that the cosmic expansion in this case is the most powerful and the bodies are preferred away from each other. With the time it is supposed to escape from the cluster and keep it away from it, but what happens is the opposite. It is the one that gets the center of the cluster, withdraws all the galaxies, in a very strange way. Perhaps the researchers, they believe that its position is there is a black hole in which we need our age. But unfortunately, until today, there is no known for what exactly what is in the center, especially since someone planting a tuberculosis galaxy is an eyebrow from us. Seeing the center. In the end, the universe remained, what is the depths of the Laniakea and the Talt, for critics who talked about them. But that we saved, who arrived so far here, all who arrived, you can create people. Peace.